Heads up! Haymakers and Hellhounds may contain one or more of the following: curse words, racist remarks, hating on your favorite authors, casual flirting, angry yelling, loud voices, adventure, bald-faced pandering, casual threats of violence, hating on your political views, hating on your theistic views, kink shaming. You know, I do strive for some professionalism when it comes to my work, but with things like this, I don't really do that a lot. I mean, I'm just saying, I want to keep it real on the show, but at the same time, you know, I gotta kind of tread that balance, so to speak. So, you know, just permit me my foibles and we'll get along. In the very least, if you find me entertaining, hey, even better. Oh, wow, that was a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't have to say. Anyway, viewer discretion has been advised. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Haymakers and Hellhounds, episode 5 of all things. I've come this far. Good, let's keep going. Now, we covered over, of course, the syllabus in the beginning, followed by the setting/genre. Then there was engineers and gardeners. And, of course, in the very last one, we just did bloodlines and families. Now, all of this is actually part of my method, personally, to how I actually start building these worlds and such. When I'm doing this, whenever, no matter what it is, music, books, whatever artistic thing I'm doing, I usually go through these particular processes. And some of you have already mentioned, well, that's not the normal standard, you know, English way they teach us in school and such. And that's all well and good. This is just my style. This is what I do to get the job done. And that's all it really should matter in the end, in my opinion. It doesn't matter if it's collegiate or scholastic or if it's just personal. All in the end to get your project done. That's the most important thing to me, personally. And so here we are with the 5th installment, the 5th episode, Rise and Fall of Kingdoms. And we have a special guest star today, which I'm actually very hype about. Oh my goodness, y'all are in for a treat, seriously. The writers that I've actually brought on board with Haymakers and Hellhounds are usually ones that I have read and that I respect. They may not be as big as me, they might be bigger than me. Certainly physically, you know, we gotta talk about that. 9 penis tentacles, baby. But at the same time, literary-wise, these dudes are good. These dudes are excellent. The one I'm gonna bring on today, Samuel Z. Jones of the Accurite Empire. I am super happy about that shit. First book of his that I read was The Baron Moruna. And just excellent stuff, excellent stuff. He loves a good power play. He loves writing that good fight. And it's in, like, each of his words, very well crafted, very well done. You'll see what I mean eventually. You'll get your hands on it. You'll be like, oh my god, Thomas Duder was fucking right. You're damn straight I was right. So, Rise and Fall of Kingdoms. In this segment, part of it is I want to focus on 2 things with you: politics and religion. Now, both are incredibly important, even if it's just a touch upon it. It will still help you with your setting. A medieval era democracy is going to be different than a modern day democracy, right? Or a democratic republic, whatever. I don't want to argue about what America is. Suffice it to say, there is a major difference between technology and the way that people think of things and how people communicate even. So in some cases, yeah, you can get away with a combination of democracy and a monarchy even, or maybe just a ruling class elite of like super high-powered merchants and a council, whatever. Whatever you're going to do give consideration to how it will impact your world, especially which zone, which people you're paying attention to. Now, something that you should be asking yourself right off the bat as you create, as you make your world, in which region is what kind of politics? Does religion come into play? Is religion even an issue when it comes to your politics? Even though I would argue that they shouldn't, I'm very laissez-faire. I was raised on that shit. Americana, baby. It should go both ways, but that's neither here nor there. It should go both ways. Ultimately, you're going to have to figure out where does the politics begin, where does religion begin, and how will this impact the people. In the world that I'm presenting, which, by the way, I have made some decisions. I am the decider. I have made some decisions as far as this place. The world will not be called Melusine. Melusine is going to be the goddess. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last episode or if this is between episodes, but I have decided, let's change. No. We'll give the world a different name. Melusine will be the name of the goddess of water. So there's that. Or was that Undyne? Whatever. Undyne, Melusine, and we'll figure out the other 2 later on. Pyro, Titan, whatever. So one thing that you should be definitely considering is how religion will play out amongst those politics too. Because both are incredibly important to people. And it is. You can flesh out your people and your story based on just the politics and religion alone. Or you can just lightly touch upon it. Lord knows people will read to escape politics and religion, and some people will write to escape politics and religion. Some people will use it as an escapist fantasy, and that's okay. That's what we're here for as entertainers. Not to serve as a tool or as a distraction, but to entertain, to provide other options, to provide thoughts even that people never thought of on their own before. A different angle, a different perspective. These kind of things is what we do as entertainers, as writers, as artists. No matter your medium, you're there to convey a message, to communicate with one another. It's very important, at least to me. These are the kind of things I think of when I'm doing anything. So just saying. So I want you to consider very strongly, once again, politics and religion. Let's cut back to that world that we're building in Haymakers and Hellhounds. I want you to consider straight up that once again, we've already determined that there's something going on in the realm of the humans, and it is a monarchy/ruling elite kind of situation where the people are being oppressed, but they can't really do anything to rise up against it. Another thing I'm changing. I mentioned steampunk. I mentioned steampunk a lot, like an episode or two ago, but I need to point out I have since decided they're not going to have like huge mecha. They are going to have steampunk warriors, steam-powered warriors, but I'm thinking more steam-powered than steampunk, so to speak. So that's something to consider right there. But what is important in this series is the religion, the Church of the Holy Sword, the devout believers in the God that lives within the sword itself. And I know in episode 1 even I presented that there will be other holy objects. Let's get rid of all those. Never mind. Fuck them all. Fuck all that. There's only one Church of the Holy Sword, only one church to worry about. It is the major religion of the place, so there's that too. So with that stated, the religion in this world, in this particular story, is going to be incredibly important. For the most part, they're the reason why there's any kind of ease of suffering, there's any kind of burdens that's been placed on the people by the monarchy will be eased by this church, whether it be giving out food or even riches or social programs, whatever have you. And some of you are already going, why are you being a socialist? I don't want a communism in my writing. Shut up. That has nothing to do with this. I'm just saying straight talk, straight up. This is what this church is for. This is what they do. The whole point of the Church of the Holy Sword is to support and strengthen the bonds between the hero and the people of the land. Very much so, the faith of the people and the faith of the hero is what strengthens the sword. When it reaches a certain amount of power, it can then defeat the Devil King, according to the cycle. Now, as I mentioned before, I think in the previous episode, in fact, this is a very long cycle, 1,337 generations. This, the 1,338th, is the broken one. This is the one where they're going to break that cycle. So what happens then to the faith? What happens then to the power that's been generated within the sword? As far as I'm going to be considering, it'll be useful for the hero as he fights against, later on, the king. The wicked one that was secretly the antagonist of the whole thing. I have made some minor changes to the previous. This happens a lot. Until we publish, you never know what's going to happen. In this case, I've decided that the thing, the interdimensional thing, it's not, this isn't my extreme existence multiverse, so it's not going to be an overpowered, but it is an elder creature from beyond the realms who did sense the coming of the Devil King and the hero that would break the cycle. Even though it created the cycle, it doesn't think like that. It's thinking beyond that. If there's ever a chance for anything that can destroy it, it should go forth and attack it. That's its founding philosophy. It's going to be something that's been passed down from generation to generation throughout the entire cycle since its inception. So that's something to consider right there. Let's call this creature Nexus. The Nexus. Some of you are already going, oh, that's been used before. Shut up, I don't care. For the most part, I like that. We'll call this guy the Nexus. And he's been getting passed down from generation to generation. Once they hit a certain, once they're willing to step up and take over the throne, it is then revealed what the true power of the king is, and the reason why they've been expanding. The reason why they've been expanding is because, once again, like I said in the previous episode, the laws of reality. It can't just take over worlds. It needs to actually establish its rule, its dominance over that world, expanding the area of its aura, so to speak. But it has to choose a champion race or group or civilization to do this. Basically to bring the world to the brink of extinction where only one race is ruling, and then it can devour, and then it can feast. And then it feasts on everything, and then moves on to the next one. For whatever reasons. We'll work on that later. For now, it's not just that it's a creature of habit, it's very much a Galactus style kind of situation. The only difference is this one is incredibly malignant, incredibly malicious. Let's keep the whole it's a creature from beyond time and space thing, but I just thought of an angle which I need to try and remember. I think I have it written down. I have been writing notes as we do these episodes, of course. I think I've got it written down, and if not, I gotta go write it down. I think I just thought of the greatest angle to this whole thing, and it's one that I thought of before, or like around episode 2, but then completely fucking forgot. So, to tell you or not. So suffice it to say, in this situation, the rise and the fall of the kingdom itself, well, it's more like just a continual, gradual rise, whereas, once again, mirrored in the negative plane, there is a constant rise and fall of the devil kingdom. Now, of course, these are all, once again, minor devils and creatures, other creatures and such, all of which are empowered by the Devil King itself and the throne. Now, Devil Kings usually will cajole and bully, well, they'll usually bully the other demons and devils into doing what it wants. But this particular Devil King is the very first one to ever look at the kingdom from the ground up and revitalize it that way, by strengthening and empowering and improving the lot of the most lowest rung, and then going up from there. Which is, once again, as stated earlier, is the complete opposite of what the king is doing in the normal physical plane. Which is also why it's so important that the hero is actually a farmer stock. I do believe in a grand reset every now and then when it comes to royal bloodlines. You kind of need it. History has shown this. The more incestuous they've gotten, that's 2 episodes now where incest comes up, whatever. The more incestuous they got, the worse shit got, and now everyone's making fun of that shit. I'm just saying, it's every now and then you kind of have to clean all that shit out and bring in new blood. I'm just saying, that shit's necessary. Now, for the most part, there have been other kingdoms and whatnot involved. I have mentioned about that island kingdom where the Oracle is, the underground dwarves and such. And for the most part, the story isn't going to really focus on any of those other ones, or even the sky castles of the elves. In fact, you can even say that they're not as, I'm going to say not as important, but it is something where some of them, like for instance, the dwarves are not semi-nomadic, so to speak, but once again, they live in the underground, and they keep going deeper the more humans try to mine their areas and will show up and try and take land and such. So they go deeper and deeper and deeper. Kinda Dragon Age Origin-ish. Whatever, I like that. At least Dragon Age Origins. I don't want to talk about the rest. Inquisition wasn't bad, but 2 doesn't exist. 2 does not exist. See, already we're cementing certain things from the rise and fall of kingdoms, of this portion of my thought processes. This is sincerely one of those places where, for me, the religion and the politics of this place mingle together. In fact, one could say that the politics are the front and center simply because of the creature as it's pushing humanity forward to take more and more lands, to take more and more to marginalize and oppress the other groups, the other species, the other races even, and to just overwhelmingly make it into a situation where they're expanding, once again, for reasons that upon reaching critical mass, it can then declare its dominance over the world and eat it. And probably slowly, too. I'd want to make this really slow and torturous. Just make it really bad. Just hell on earth. Just from then on, you get 1,000 days of darkness where it's just devouring the shit out your world. Yeah, I like that shit. Now, that's not to say that in your work, you should even come close to doing the same. Maybe your thing is more like, poor A. Hemplo. Maybe your stuff is going to be like Shogun or something. Remember that one where the guy comes across from the Dutch traders, whatever, he was a shipwright, and comes across Japan for the first time, and you never read the book? You should. It's actually really, really good. Now, see, that book taught me what a shipwright even is. Everyone knows about the captain of the ship, but that's the first book I ever read even suggesting that there was at least one rank higher, and that was the shipwright. The shipwright was the guy who creates the ships and then knows more about it than even the captain and can take over the rudder or the wheel, you know. Shipwright, take the wheel! It's nice, it's a little tidbit I got from books right there, you know what I mean? So that's something to consider right there. Politics and religion does get involved with business, which should always be another thing to also consider in this section, Kingdom, Rise and Fall of Kingdom. For the most part, business is always going to lubricate the wheels of society, period. Even more so than politics. I wouldn't say as even more so than religion, but I prefer peaceful trading to religious incursions. I'm just saying, Deus vault that ass. That's not to say that any permutation of these three, any combination of these three, can be helpful towards your work. They can. These are the driving forces of society, if you think about it. And I'm certain there are others who will agree with me on that too. I'm certain I can go and find like 5 different sociologists that agree with me on this shit. Whatever. I'm just saying, from a writer point of view, from my point of view, business, religion, and politics are some of the movers and shakers of society. When other cultures merge and mingle, there's always going to be a rich trade. There's going to be a rich trade of stories, beliefs, goods, and services. All of that shit. And this should play into your work. Believe it or not, it plays, well, it obviously plays very strongly in the generalist. I mean, the whole point is the shop, a paranormal goods and supernatural services store. So yeah, and that's like multiple dimensions in one thing. So there's that too. I'm trying to think. Killer 13 is more of a subversion of that, where for the most part, he's just killing everybody. So I can't really. The only exchange is this meat cleaver in your fucking neck. Get your brain meat out. That looks tasty. But I'm trying to think of where else that I've done. Oh, I worked with this one writer, Madam Francesca Silvers, and I know you're watching, baby girl, and tell your boy I said what's up. Nah, both y'all, you know what I'm saying? Y'all were good. Y'all were good. But, well, she's doing the True Taboo X side stories. She's got like 2 of them written down, but we haven't really gotten it edited yet. I told her she can borrow my editor, but she's taking her time, and I'm not going to push her, but I am going to try and push her into it, I'm just saying. She had this thing on the side, though, Hansel x Gretel, breadcrumbs. It was an erotica, action romance, something like that. And politics kind of come into play under there. It's about how their stepbrother and sister, for one thing. She was the daughter of a powerful warrior queen, and she herself was a warrior princess. He was actually the beaten up son, the one that survived. The older son died in a war, and the father basically woos the warrior queen using black magics, these dark evil magics from the Germanic forests. And it's actually really, really good. I was very impressed with what I read. I loved that shit. It was good. And she should get it edited and get it out there. Since in her story, in that story, the Rise and Fall of Kingdoms plays into the pre-story itself as well, and what she built. Basically, the guy was the king with no name. He had this kingdom, but it fell because he sacrificed everybody to power this demon that is giving him strength. But that played off very strongly into what she was writing at that time. Now, if it wasn't for once again the fall of that kingdom, it wouldn't be the fall of the next one that he goes to, basically, and which is once again the warrior queens, and then it starts insinuating his dark claws there. Some would say it's a standard vizier, dark vizier story. The second in command, fear of the second in command, for he controls the king, kind of bullshit. Same thing with that story. With this one, it's just flat out beware the king. And I don't mind that personally. It's not an emperor's new clothes kind of situation. It's more like the emperor is sucking the blood of your children, and wants more and more. I think I got off topic a little bit, but whatever. Suffice it to say, now is the time. Now is the time. Now is the time to consider and think about what are the politics, what is the religion, and what kind of business is dealt with in your work. If you're going to go so far as to build a world for your work, even if, let's say, a statue. Let's say you're just carving a marble statue and you're carving a character. This stuff might be important to you. I'm just saying. Something to consider. So with that stated, I think it's about time we cut to Samuel Z. Jones of the Accurite Empire and get his take on how the rise and fall of kingdoms can help you with your work, no matter what it is.